Good morning. Welcome to Money Talks, your intel on the Philippine markets and the economy. I'm Regina Lay. In the headlines today, the Armed Forces of the Philippines says they found 250 ghost infrastructure projects nationwide, well, 252, and they haven't finished their inspection yet. The weak peso pushed the country's outstanding debt back near all-time highs, exceeding this year's projection by more than 200 billion pesos. And French President Emmanuel Macron is set to arrive in Beijing today for his fourth state visit as tensions between Europe and China remain high. 252. That is the number of ghost projects that the Armed Forces of the Philippines has found nationwide so far out of 10,000 infrastructure works that they inspected. That was what AFP Chief of Staff General Romeo Browner Jr. told the ICI when he met with them earlier this week. The ICI tapped the AFP and the PNP to inspect a total of 30,000 public works, which means that figure, 252, is very likely not the final tally.
We find out that a total of around 252 of this na mga naikot na po namin are ghost projects. From 2016 to present, all over the Philippines. We cannot really hone in on a particular place or region. Tuloy-tuloy namin yung gagawin. The earliest we can do it and we can submit it, then we will do so. Kaya nga, hindi to piecemeal, sabay-sabay na siya. We are utilizing our troops on the ground as well.
The ICI also finally began live streaming its hearings this week with Laguna 4th District Congressman Benjamin Agarao Jr. and Land Bank officials, the first to face the fact-finding body with cameras on. As did others, Agarao vehemently denied having ties with the Discayas, who implicated him in the flood control mess and stressed that it was the DPWH who handled projects in his district. As for Land Bank, President and CEO Lynette Ortiz said it only needed the signature of a district engineer to transfer funds from Land Bank accounts to that of the contractors. This frustrated ICI member Rogelio Babes Singson, who said his head hurt when Ortiz admitted that there was a presumption of regularity in the transactions being made. Singson also couldn't believe that Land Bank just accepted contractors' excuse when they said they needed to open different accounts for different projects.
We were clearly aware that there were multiple accounts and also interlinking ownership. Just generally, there are some accounts, of course, that have multiple and similar ownership. For example, to the DPWH or even the Bulacan issues, there was a presumption of regularity on our part as Land Bank.
Sumasakit ang ulo ko sa sagot na yan, ha?
Yes, sir.
Everything is assumed regular. I'm sorry, I just had to blurt that because I've heard that several times over from other agencies that they assumed regularity, and that's why this thing happened.
Meanwhile, the DICT has intelligence indicating that an exorbitant amount of money is being laundered through crypto platforms by some flood control contractors. Yusek Aboy Paraiso of the Cybercrime Investigation Coordinating Center told our sister program Storycon that AMLAC discovered one of the contractors converted about 15 million pesos into USDT, which is a stable coin, after the exchange decided to notify the agency out of goodwill.
The most popular right now is yung mga USDTs. Because kailangan lang nyo yung mga cold wallets na tinatawag. We have cryptocurrencies, the usual, yung mga Binance, so yung other exchanges po na yan. May cold wallet ka, papasok mo na sa laptop, transfer na. Tapos, you don't even see any records of the transactions except for the cold wallets. So, with other cryptocurrencies yan, mahuhuli natin yan, or at least we'll have a record of them. Because may mga systems tayo, may mga technology tayo that can track down yung mga cryptocurrency exchanges.
The country's outstanding debt has now breached the government's full-year projection after the peso hit record lows against the dollar. The latest data from the Treasury showed that the government's outstanding debt rose 0.6% to 17.56 trillion pesos as of end October. That translates to roughly 210 billion pesos more than what they had forecast for the full year. The October figure is also within range of the all-time high of 17.563 trillion pesos recorded just last July. The Treasury said the increase came from new domestic and external borrowings compounded by the peso's weaker valuation. The exchange rate that they used for October was 58.77 to the dollar. National Treasurer Sharon Almanza earlier warned that the peso slide would push up the foreign currency debt portfolio again due to revaluation effects. Well, that weak peso is also going to be part of the conversation at National Exporters Week, which kicked off yesterday. Trade Secretary Cristina Roque, who's been under fire this week for her comments on the 500 pesos being enough for Noche Buena, was on hand to open the expo at the EDSA Shangri-La. The good news, she says, is that despite global headwinds, merchandise exports are up this year. Mobile journalist Amy Atienza has that story.
The Department of Trade and Industry has officially opened National Exporters Week with the theme of Making Waves, Exporters Driving the Nation Forward. From food, clothing, technology, and even leisure items, the event held in Mandaluyong City showcased the diversity of the Philippine export sector. Trade Secretary Cristina Roque was on hand to deliver the keynote.
Under the leadership of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., our numbers reflect this trend. From January to October 2025, our merchandise export has reached 70.43 billion, which is a 13.80% increase from last year despite the global challenges. So maganda po ang ating oportunidad, and our president is really pro-export. He keeps on reminding us that kailangan nyo i-push yung mga industries ng Pilipinas.
Indeed, hopes were high exports could get a boost from the recently announced U.S. tariff exemptions. This comes after President Donald Trump issued an EO exempting products that cannot be produced in large quantities stateside. For the Philippines, this will include coconut and all cocoa products, fruits like mangoes and pineapples, and even frozen tuna fillets. Secretary Roque says they're still negotiating that more products be exempted.
So this is a win for the agricultural industry and for our farmers in the Philippines. But for those that are in the other industries, rest assured, we are still negotiating and we are still fighting for the different industries of the Philippines.
But Roque acknowledges the country also needs to find more trade partners.
We need to export to the world. Huwag natin i-limit yung export natin sa isang bansa lang para just in case may mangyari or may aberya, we still have many other countries that we can rely on.
Most agro-exporters I spoke to were happy about getting a tariff exemption from the U.S. But on the ground, they say bureaucracy and red tape remain bigger challenges. Many struggle to comply with permitting rules and regulations that are burdensome and constantly changing.
Actually, right now, what is the problem we have is some government agencies who are really linked sa mga exporters. Hindi siya yung ganon kasimbles ba? Kasimbles. To the point na the investors, the exporters, konti yung support from the government.
PhilExport President Sergio Luis Ortiz Jr. says the launch of 2 digital platforms this year should help ease the burden on exporters.
Well, against our pessimistic belief before, it looks like it's clearing air now. And I think at least yung target natin $110 billion for the, I think we can meet it. It will help the exporters a lot, no? Because it's a platform which can bring them to the world.
The Exporters Week is being organized by DTI Export Marketing Bureau, Export Development Council, and Phil Export. Kapatid Amy Atienza, we are One News.
In world news, French President Emmanuel Macron arrives in China today for his fourth state visit, during which he will be, according to analysts, walking a tightrope between rivalry and reliance. Europe is seeking to balance its economic and security threats from Beijing with reliance on the world's second largest economy at a time of global uncertainty. Trade tensions between China and Europe have risen in recent years as cheap China exports hammer swaths of European industry. There's also much anxiety in Europe over China's dominance in electric vehicles and rare earths processing. And then, of course, there's also the question of Ukraine, specifically Macron hoping that China will put pressure on Russia to end the war.
Indeed, this is a very, very difficult situation because these relations between Europe and China are increasingly strained. Of course, this is true regarding the Ukrainian issue, but also the question of rare earth supplies, which are crucial for artificial intelligence, for the manufacturing of microprocessors, and so on. Therefore, Chinese pressure and China's monopoly in this area are obviously unsettling for the European powers.
French advisors also said that Macron will push for maintaining the status quo on Taiwan and urge China not to escalate. President Macron will start his three-day trip with a visit to Beijing's Forbidden City today. He meets Chinese President Xi Jinping tomorrow in the capital and again on Friday when they go to Chengdu in the southwestern Sichuan province. Beijing says that France is China's third most important trading partner in the EU. We're taking a short break right now, but when we return, we'll look into the markets. Plus, catch our conversation with Filipina entrepreneur Dr. Catherine De Assis, who won the 2025 ASEAN Women Entrepreneur Award. Stay with us here on One News. Welcome back to Money Talks. I'm Regina Lay. Let's take a closer look at the markets now. Wall Street is, staged a cautious rebound on Tuesday despite Bitcoin recovering. Well, because also Bitcoin recovering from its bruising sell-off. Let's see, the NASDAQ rising by 0.5%, while the Dow jumped by nearly 0.4%, and the S&P 500 climbing by 0.25%. U.S. 10-year Treasury yields ticking down to just a little over 4%, while gold prices declined to $4,186 per ounce, but that is still a multi-year high. U.S. futures looking like they're moving marginally higher in after-hours trading. The Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ all up by 0.1% at the moment, but generally higher but more or less flattish. Let's take a look now at Asian markets, which have opened in the green. Wow, take a look at that. Kospi up by more than 1%, while the ASX 500 and Nikkei 225 marginally pushing higher as well. ASX advancing by about 0.5%. The rise in Australia's bourse comes despite third quarter GDP falling short of expectations, which came in at 2.1% on year for Australia. Now let's take a look at our markets. The PSEI opened this Wednesday alongside the Asian markets higher by just a tad, a tenth of a percent, specifically sitting at 6,004.54 at the moment. The stock market advanced this Tuesday as investors going into bargain hunting is what the analysts are telling us. Phil Stocks Financial says trading remained lethargic though, on the whole, with value turnover standing at 4.71 billion pesos. The broader all shares index tumbling by nearly 2%, well, with local counters mostly in the red once again. As for the Philippine peso, it's, marginally weaker at 58.55 to the dollar this morning. Peso closed yesterday at 58.52 against the greenback. Again, lack of a major catalyst on the horizon here. And 10-year government bond yields ticking down to 5.94% at the moment. Just more or less same from its previous close of 5.947. Filipino entrepreneur Dr. Catherine De Assis, founding board member and chief brand strategist of MKS Marketing Consulting, has won the 2025 ASEAN Women Entrepreneur Award for her impact in building local brands and creating jobs. She joins us this morning to talk about this recognition and what it means for Filipino businesses. Good morning, Dr. De Assis. Thanks for joining us. Oh, sorry, you're on mute.
Good morning, Reggie. It's my pleasure to be on this show.
So congratulations, first of all. You
Thank
represented the Philippines in the recently concluded ASEAN Women Entrepreneur Awards, representing the Philippines alongside 9 other honorees from ASEAN. And tell us how that went and also what your work is all about. I understand you're focused on helping family-oriented brands become global, nationally recognized brands. What goes into that?
All right. The firm is actually a brand consulting agency, but we actually help a lot of Filipino family businesses to take their businesses into the next level. We've got 3 case studies. For example, one brand came to us around 15 years ago, has been in the business for around 40 years with 47 shops. In 10 years, actually, that particular brand has grown to become 350 shops. So that's an example of a Filipino family business that can be grown. Now it is into its 2nd generation.
And so you said there were 3 examples that you brought with you to the ASEAN Awards. Is that what won it for you?
Each of the nominees are actually nominated by women business organizations. This is particularly, AWEN is actually a women entrepreneurs network recognizing women empowerment. And yes, three of the case studies that we actually lobbied for included one, a retail shop, another, an appliance, and one is a pharmaceutical retail chain.
All of these were started off as family businesses, is that right?
Yes, strictly Filipino family businesses. That is actually our vision and mission as a company, because our expertise actually can be fueled or can collaborate with even conglomerates or international firms. But you see, when you make a strategy, a brand strategy, it is something that no other it is meant for that one particular brand or business, because it will be something that will be sustained through the years, and therefore you only work with one in a particular category or industry. And that is why we have put much of our effort on Filipino family brands. Our vision actually is, we hope that one day, because it will take generations, unless one from a certain generation is fully energized to take his or her own brand globally. But already, as I cited an example, 47 branches in 40 years, and 11.7% more in 10 years. That's already a very big step. Actually, for that company, global can be the next step, but then you have to look at the macro environment.
Those are great case studies. So a retail brand that grew its footprint from 47 branches to
Yes.
I think 350.
47 within worked or endeavored in 40 years. And most of the Filipino family businesses are like that.
Right. So you
It's
grew
like
it from
putting- yeah.
you grew it from 47 to I think what I have in my notes is 350, right?
Yes.
And then the appliance company grew from a single product line to multiple product categories. And then the third example was the drugstore chain that became an industry challenger just within a span of a few years.
Yes.
So
Yes,
what
yes.
actually goes into taking a locally known small homegrown brand to a national market player?
Most not that small. I would assess that they should be in they're kind of in the medium. It's just that they're like stagnant because their business already puts food on the table. But then actually having a business is actually a blessing. It's like the golden coins. It's for you to grow. And by growing, actually behind that, most of the business owners actually think transactional. What's it in it for me, myself? But actually, when you add the social responsibility into the picture, not many realize that they are actually creating a mark in the community. Because can you imagine, for example, just like that case study, can you imagine that it has become nationwide, for example, 47, maybe in NCR or just in Southern Luzon. But then if you go, let's say, 350 branches, it becomes nationwide. And as far as, let us say, Western Visayas, you provide a lot of regular, stable jobs. And that kind of job, for example, for people who already are immersed into that company, it can feed their families for 20 years, provide education. So that's the kind that personally I would like to build into to the Filipino family businesses. The perfect actually model is a Filipino family business that has been around for 35 years. That means that particular business has already a group of customers. It's just that at this time, there are already 5 generational cohorts living in this world. So therefore, to sustain that business, you also have to talk to the different generation cohorts.
Right.
So it really is a continuing challenge.
Right. That's interesting. But for those that, as you said, most of these family businesses started off as a way to just put food on the table and put the kids through
Yes.
school. How do you convince these owners to go from that and put in the investment and the money to grow it to something bigger, maybe something bigger than they dreamed of?
That's a very interesting question because I would say that all or most of our clients actually fall into 2 types. One is dominantly, they already have a problem with the business. Remember, they've been around for 35, but they see a decline. And so how can you reverse this problem? So that's most of the cases that is most of the Filipino family businesses that we get. Second is they're into their 3 or let us say the first 10 years of the business, and they have a visionary owner and who would like to grow it. So yes. So those are the 2 types of Filipino businesses. As mentioned earlier, so long as it provides food on the table, but if you see your business declining, then you get to be concerned.
When you look across the landscape of the Filipino family-oriented businesses, are there many that you're seeing that are ripe for global expansion? I know you've taken them from being homegrown local brands to to being national market players, but is there more room for growth here? Are you seeing a lot of brands that are ripe for global expansion?
Actually, I would say that first, most of the Filipino family businesses should strengthen themselves first, domestically and nationally. There's a lot of opportunity for them before global expansion. The expansion now is actually we also advise our clients not at this time because the trade winds now are not optimistic for global expansion unless you are already in other country markets. But if you intend to expand globally now, trade tariffs, for example, immigration policies, this supply chain issues, these are things that, and labor, of course, these are things that are big issues now globally.
Well, as
Most
you-
of the country markets now are really looking into nationalism.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as you said, it's there's a lot of headwinds almost every direction you face. As I'm sure I don't need to tell you that in the third quarter the economy stalled, and so the indicators just aren't there in terms of starting a business. What would you advise to those who are looking to grow their businesses at this time? Anyway,
All right.
is it just wait it out, or is there a pathway here?
Actually, there's a tremendous pathway for Filipino family businesses. It has not been reported because most of the news actually worldwide, in other countries as well, not only in the Philippines, has been too much on graft and corruption and so forth and so on. But specifically for the Philippines, actually, we are on an optimistic level. Do you know that the three financial engines in the world are recognized by all investors worldwide and by legitimate, reputable businesses, the IMF, the ADB, the ADB, and one other agency, World Bank, sorry. IMF, World Bank, and ADB have put the Philippines optimistically second to Vietnam with a growth of 5.4 to 5.7% coming in 2026. Can you imagine that in Asia, we are the second to Vietnam? Thailand is on a 1.3 to 1.4%. It is something that is very optimistic because one, compared to other countries, there are four factors that are working for us. One is, as I mentioned earlier, our population is driven by the young. It is 3/4 young with 5 generational cohorts living in the Philippines, which includes already the generation Alpha, the oldest being 15 years old and below, and is already considered an economic engine now. And we have 20% of that in the Philippines. And the corporate market and other businesses now are being fueled by the young millennials, and the Gen Z, actually, the Generation C. So one, that's population. Second, domestic consumption. Most of our income are spent 70%. I mean, the Filipinos are really YOLO people.
Yeah,
Only
yeah.
live once. Yeah, I mean, it's also a positive because it keeps the economy moving and it makes them happy. I mean, we're one of the happiest people in the world.
Yeah.
So we have that, the personal consumption. We also have the OFW remittances.
Yeah.
So those are all working for us. Also, the skilled labor of the ICT. As you all know, the trend is towards artificial intelligence, why we may not be as upskilled as the others, but then we provide the skilled labor, especially because we speak good English.
Yeah. Okay.
So those are some of the last points. Something we can look
Great
into.
points there. We'll leave that there for now. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Dr.
Thank
Catherine
you.
De Assis,
All
founding
right.
board member and chief brand strategist of MKS Marketing Consulting. And that is all that we have for Money Talk today. I'm Regina Lay. Catch us again tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Kapatid, we are one news, all sides, all the time. Have a great day ahead.